Hi, guys, and welcome to an episode of Reality Check. I'm going to be your host, Erin, and my special guest is here. His name's Andrew, and we're ready to talk all things Bachelor.
Super excited to be on. I'm glad to be your first guest.
Well, I'm glad you're here. Honestly, no one talks Bachelor more with me right now than you do, so this is great.
Oh, yeah, I'm the perfect person because I don't watch it because I actually believe in fall in love. I watch it for the train wreck that it is.
And that's the best reason to watch it, honestly. The trashy reality TV, the guilty pleasure of it all. That's why I love reality TV, so that's the 100%.
I'm not watching it because I have actual faith these are good people, which is surprisingly true with this season of The Bachelor. It seems like a lot of these girls are genuinely good human beings.
Yeah. Like, same with Tayshia's season of The Bachelorette.
And usually I'm like, oh, they're just garbage people. I don't feel bad about them not getting love or anything like that.
Yep. Well, why don't we hop in to night one? Our Bachelor this year, Matt James. If you guys didn't know him, he basically became famous because he's best friends and roommates with Tyler Cameron, who was a heartthrob of Hannah Brown's season. But just a background on Matt James, he is a former football player turned philanthropist. He co-runs a charity in New York with Tyler Cameron called ABC Foods, where they introduce kids to new experiences and new cultures and new foods throughout the city of New York. So, and then he kind of got famous on Instagram during quarantine with the Quarantine Crew. But he's our first Black Bachelor, which is kind of a really big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I didn't realize it until they had made the announcement. I was like, they really went, 18 seasons with only white. I think Juan Carlo being the only one that was,
not a white male American. Yeah.
But he definitely was white passing, and that was something that I think they definitely took into account.
100%. I do like the fact, though, that they really haven't milked the fact that he's the first Black Bachelor. They did the first episode, but they really haven't since then.
Yeah, I think that it was one where it was kind of like, oh, yeah, he is a genuinely handsome dude. And I can say with full confidence, that man is attractive.
Yep.
And I think Brie on the second date, which I'm guessing we'll talk about later, she's like, damn. And I'm like, that man's pretty shredded.
He is. He's definitely got the body of an athlete. You can tell that he went to college and played football. So, but yeah, we can go ahead and talk first impressions with first night limos. My favorite are probably the most normal people, like the calm ones, the ones who just like have a conversation.
Yeah, the ones that just kind of like, hi, nice to meet you. There's no props, there's no gimmick. It's just like, hi, nice to meet you. Exactly.
And like, I'm a big fan of watching producer edits. So I knew right away, Brie was the first girl out of the limo with a gorgeous green dress, and it was a normal introduction. Like, she may not have actually been the first one Matt talked to, but she was the first one in the edit. So I think she's one to watch out for.
Yeah, absolutely. And the one big thing I always get from the first impressions is any Bachelor, Bachelorette, how do they remember the names? Matt had to remember 32 in the span of a day. Yeah. And like, I was wondering if there's like a roster and with pictures like how you have on the ABC website where you can see the girls, that what they do and where they're from. But I was like, I don't think I could remember 32 people in a night in like knowing confidence. Oh yeah, I'm getting rid of this girl. And it could just be because I don't remember her name.
Yeah, well, throwback to, what season was that? It was an NFL football player. He was the Bachelor, and he said the wrong girl's name with the final rose. And then he said, wait, I didn't mean to say her name. Can I give out 2 roses instead? Because now I feel bad. So it's happened.
Oh, my gosh.
But like Hannah Brown did an interview, and she said that the first rose ceremony generally takes hours. They'll give about 5 roses, and then they'll stop, and Hannah will go back and talk with producers. She'll look at photos and be like, oh yeah, him, and then they'll do 5 more. And it goes on like that for the whole night. So my bet is they don't actually remember names. I know I wouldn't be able to.
Yeah, I assume they went in groups and like, all right, yeah, these 5, maybe not these 5, but like at least then you're like, here's a picture, here's a name, here's what happened that maybe you can remember her by. But I think some of the ones that stuck out to me most was Kaylee, who did show up in her underwear and hadn't picked a dress. And it is one thing as a guy watching it, I was like, it's a bold move and it's gonna pay off every time. I think it was 2016's Bachelor, a girl showed first impression with the whipped cream bikini, and I'm like, she's going to be top 5. I'm like, it's not misogynistic or anything. I'm like, you now stick out in that man's head more than anyone else. You decide to show up with very little clothing on, and now he's like, that one I've almost seen naked already.
Right, which is like a good thing for a first impression with The Bachelor, but a terrible thing for a first impression with the rest of your girls, because they're instantly going to think that she's a skank,
She's that
or
hoe.
that or that she's easy, or that she's just in it for her looks and she has no depth to her, which can really backfire.
Yeah, absolutely. And that is something I think they definitely do try and think about, especially as the show's gone on. You kind of have now 18 years of previous experience, like, all right, so this didn't work for that person. I'm not going to even try it.
Yep.
But I do think one that really stopped for me first impression wise was Kayla, who is from South Carolina or from North Carolina, like he is.
Yeah.
Shows up in this sweet old truck, says it's a manual, and gives him crap for even assuming that it would be an automatic.
It was
It has
so
sweet tooth
cute.
in the bed of the truck, and I'm like, that is the most North Carolina thing you could do.
Yep.
And it's definitely going to pay off, I think, in the long run. A lot of them
it's slightly
didn't super
gimmicky,
much,
but it seemed really real.
Yeah, and then there was Katie, who brought the female pleasure device.
Yes.
I don't know what else we can call it, but
the vibrator.
that's a bold
We can
move.
call it the vibrator.
Yeah. It is such a bold move, because I think if I was meeting 32 people at once and one was like, hey, this is from quarantine, whether it was new or used, I'd be like, what the fuck?
Yeah, let's hope and pray that it was new and it was never used.
Yeah, and I think I think whenever the girls are hanging out, she's like, oh yeah, we'll name it MJ because of his name.
Matt James.
And then yeah, Matt James. And then MJ, one of the contestants who's from Ohio, is like, that's my name. And she's like, can we please give it any other name? And I don't think that's a situation you see often, where like a bunch of the Bachelorette, or I guess, I don't know, the contestants would possibly share a name with the Bachelor or Bachelorette.
Yeah,
and I don't know if that's
it's just definitely an interesting twist.
Yeah, and that'd be like if you had a guy named Casey on the show, and he was your male bachelor, and then one of the girls came on and was like, oh yeah, like I named it Casey, and then one of the girls shows up, she's like, my name is Casey, please name it anything else.
Right. Speaking of MJ, I loved her entrance. I thought it was hilarious. She tried to be a pizza delivery person and locked herself out of the car. Couldn't actually give him the pizza and had to go all the way back around. I thought that was funny because it was like a simple way to break the ice. It didn't have to be gimmicky. They both just laughed at themselves and were having a good time, which makes it seem a lot more natural and less nerve-wracking for TV.
Yeah, and it is something I think that you kind of do it and you're like, all right, well now all the tension is kind of, it can't get any worse than this.
Right.
But 100%. One of the girls did fall down the steps, so
yeah. But it was like at the very top, and Matt was like running up to save her, but then she's like, I'm good. I got it. We're good.
I'm good, yeah.
Yep. And I was like, oh, he's such a gentleman.
Yeah, and I don't think...
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, the thing is, like, especially with how many there are with 32, even if you do something that stands out, the producers can cut it, and they're only going to show 15 or 16 of the girls. And we keep seeing that be brought up throughout the show thus far, with girls being like, I didn't get any time yet. And it's like, well, you are competing against 31 other girls. The group date in the second episode, it's kind of like, oh yeah, you're going to take a wedding picture, and half of them don't get it. And it's like, well, there are 18 of you, so.
Right. Which we'll get to, don't worry.
Yeah, you'll definitely get time at some point with him. So like, some of these girls are super freaked out, and it's like, I don't think he's going to pick girls he didn't have time to hang out with that week.
Right.
And I think that as a guy, or even as a girl that's trying to pick love, you're not going to get rid of the people you didn't have time for that week. You'll get rid of the people that it didn't work with that week.
Right, which makes a lot of sense. Like, if there's no point in throwing away somebody you haven't gotten to know yet. Instead, you should get to know them and decide if it works or if it doesn't. And that's kind of what happened night one. If you look at a lot of the roses he gave out, there were multiple girls, I think 6 or 7, who were like, I never got any time with him. And I know for a fact at least 4 of them got roses. So that's pretty big.
Yeah, and the one that stood out to me was Amber, really kind of big, sort of eyebrows, blonde hair. Mm-hmm. She was like, I didn't get any time, and she ended up not getting a rose, which is kind of sad. But it's also like, you have that whole time, you need to kind of be pushing for it.
Right.
this is not the time to kind of sit back. And I hate to agree with Victoria. You're not there to make friends, so kind of push for your time to hang out with them. And being
Speaking
that
of the
person that,
queen,
yeah, speaking of the queen,
Victoria. Yeah, if you haven't noticed, her occupation in the show is queen because,
I was going to bring that up. Yeah.
live your best life. I get it. The producers probably find it hilarious too. But yeah, she was definitely one night one that stuck out for all the wrong reasons. She got carried in by a bunch of men. She kept calling herself the queen. And then, she went and became the girl that kept saying, "Ooh, can I steal a minute here? Can I steal a minute there? I'm not here to make friends. I'm here to fall in love with Matt." And just kept getting everybody
Yeah.
giving them the wrong vibes.
And as much as you don't want to say you're not there to make friends, it does help.
Oh,
And
100%.
it is one thing with both The Bachelor and The Bachelorette. You are in a place where you have no phone. You only have what you brought. You kind of got to be friendly with people. Otherwise,
Yeah, you
if
don't
you
have
don't make that
TV,
group date,
internet,
you are
no
just
books,
screwed.
nothing.
Yeah, if you don't get the group date or the one-on-one, you're just stuck in a house by yourself for an entire day with nothing to do.
Yep.
At least you make a friend or something. You can hang out with them. You can have a drink. You can hang out by the pool, just talk and be casual.
Right.
Where Victoria very much is kind of like, I don't care. I'm going to ice out everyone. But then it comes to bite you in the ass, as we saw, I think, in episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, we're going to get to that. But not making friends is going to kill you in the long run because now nobody's going to corroborate anything you're saying.
Well, think about the emotional stress you go through in the show. Like, if you and Matt have a really emotionally deep conversation and you want to talk to one of your friends about it, like you're nervous to talk to him about it. Like you might want to talk to a friend in the house, or if you get into a fight with somebody else and you need to vent, like it's nice to have your friends there. Like it's nice to have a girlfriend there who you can like bounce ideas back and forth off of. Like check, oh, is my outfit okay? Like simple things like that. And if you don't become friends with the other girls in the house, you'll just fall apart slowly but surely.
Yeah, absolutely. And like, I think another one, at least in the first episode, that struck me as somebody that's going to try and ice everyone out was Kit, who was 21 years old, which is the youngest you can be in beyond The Bachelor.
Yep.
And it was kind of like she's what was it, a fashion designer? Fashion influencer. Oh, so she has no job.
Yes.
But
she did have the biggest Instagram following out of any contestant on the show other than Matt. So.
Yeah, and I do think that, most of the girls to make it on the show usually have to be attractive, and she is, but there almost seems to be no substance to her whatsoever. Her first impression with Matt, hey, I got you this little snow globe of New York City because they're both from there. And he goes, oh, I'm not from New York City. He's like, I've lived there for a couple years. I'm a North Carolina boy. Yep. And it's one where I think I don't want to say she's dumb because obviously you don't know much and the producers can edit things to make it seem like somebody is 100% intelligent. But she 100% is getting that treatment thus far. She is an airhead. And obviously her and Victoria kind of went back and forth throughout the first episode where, hey, princess, the queen needs cut. And she's like,
I'm the
you
king,
can be whatever you want.
The CEO and the president. Like,
yeah, and it's, oh boy, like these two both have no clue what reality is like.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say they've been given everything. Like I said before, we don't know
them.
What.
Yep.
But again, from what we can tell on the show, very much seem like they've never done anything in their lives. A lot of stuff's been handed to them.
Which you can argue Kit being so young probably
Yeah, and being
true.
21 years old, definitely, and living in New York City, it could be that your parents help pay for your apartment or anything like that. You could be going to fashion school in New York. I know that they are huge there. I know Kent's a huge one, but majority of them are in New York City. So it could be, just a lack of life experience. Could be what's weighing her down. And maybe later down, maybe Bachelor in Paradise, something else would be more successful for. I just think experienced, it's tough to pick her to win.
100%.
And I don't know how old Matt is.
I think he's like 20.
I'm going to check real quick right now.
Yeah.
And that is one thing that like an age gap's gonna weigh in.
Because he was originally supposed to be on Claire's season. Because
and he's
a little bit older for Bachelor.
Yeah, and it's definitely odd to have a 7-year gap, and especially those 7 years being it. Is you're talking about somebody that's gotten to go through college, live their life, and
Yep.
now are kind of settled down versus somebody that is still a college age person. I don't know whether she's
Yeah,
in college or not.
generally like
And
21 is
just
like
now,
your second, third year of college, depending on how old you are.
yeah.
Like, that's pretty young.
And I think that's just like one of those ones where it's just a poor fit. Obviously, they really like having the girls in the show be younger. We saw that
Yep.
with the Bachelorette and Claire, and everyone complained that she was old.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like going through the roster that's open right now, Kit's 21, MJ's 23, Piper's 23,
Yep.
Serena P is 22, and there was one more, Kareen, who I think is already gone, is 22.
Yeah.
And I think that as somebody that is just 23 now, I don't know how comfortable I would be with dating somebody that's 7 years younger than me. Obviously, yeah, that's
7 years younger would be illegal.
yeah, illegal. But even like if I was trying to date
let's
somebody
hope you're
18 or
uncomfortable with
19,
that.
yeah, just 18 or 19, I'd be like, no, we haven't had the same life experience.
Right.
This
But
isn't gonna
I
work.
think at my point in my life, I'm 23, I would be totally comfortable dating someone who's in their 30s. I would date someone who's 35 if they were the right person for me. But that I think is also slightly different. Like, I think it's easier to go older for
For me to
than it would
date
be
somebody
to go
that's 30 in their 30s would be
Yes.
less weird. But yeah, me being a guy and having to date somebody younger, it's definitely odd, I think, regardless of gender, to be dating somebody that is much younger than you.
100%. But let's get back to the show. We
Yeah.
we tangent. But why don't we hop into? We could go into the rose ceremony that night. We lost about 6 girls. None of them
6
we
girls.
really got to know, other than my heart and soul, Alicia, who was our prima ballerina, who was so pretty and so tall, and she would have been perfect with Matt. But it was, alas, not meant to be.
Yeah, and I do think that first rose, he definitely only gets maybe 10, 15 minutes with each girl, especially now because we see them get out of the limo and it's starting to be nighttime, and he does the rose ceremony at probably 1 or 2 in the morning.
Yep.
You don't
By
have a whole lot
the
of
time
time
the
to know
rose
them.
ceremony's over, the sun is rising again.
Yeah, so some of these girls probably just didn't do good in that first impression.
Mm-hmm. Which is very
You
possible.
weren't able to do something. Yeah, I thought you didn't do something big, or you did something that just wasn't compatible. And maybe for girls like Kit or Victoria, we think that you'll stir up drama. He'll keep you around for a bit, but he already knows this isn't a good fit.
Well, like, you also have to think about Matt opened his season with a prayer. There might have been some girls that they had their first sit down conversation was, I'm not religious, but I respect your prayer. And he might have been like, they're not the person for me. That could have been the whole reason why they didn't get a rose, because he has said multiple times he's a man of faith and that he wants to have a family and grow in the church. So you never know. It could have been something as simple as that. He could have had one-on-one time with them and realized right off the bat, what they want is not what I want. So next.
Yeah, and with somebody like Katie, who did bring a vibrator, it could have been like, as soon as he's like, I want to open the prayer, she's probably like, I really messed up. I got to kind of stat correct in my 15 minutes. And just kind of, oh yeah, I brought it as a joke. Don't worry. Like, I'm not a whore or anything like that. Any preconceived notion that might come from bringing any sort of pleasure device, whether it would be on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, maybe there is a double standard to that as well. That if a guy brought something that was pleasurable for a man to The Bachelorette, girl would immediately be like, gone, leave, please leave now.
Yeah.
If they brought a silicone vagina or anything like that.
I think it was all about
but yeah, I think a lot of the girls,
sorry, I was going to say, I think for her it was just more about the joke, and that was obvious in that sense.
Yeah, I think, yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it was mostly a joke. Mm-hmm. And you can tell that whenever she kind of brought it in and sat down, it's kind of like, it's not used. I kind of just got it as a gimmick, and I can believe that.
100%. But
I mean, I've definitely had friends that have bought dildos for solely a joke.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well,
yeah.
Everybody has a party at one point in their life. Yeah, everybody has a party at one point in their life that, whether it be a bachelorette party, a baby shower, anything like that, just a Wednesday night with wine, that has men's appendages all over the place.
Some extracurricular activity.
Yeah. So, whether it be the ice cubes that are in your drink or it be the centerpiece of your table, that's all. It's going to be a party at one point or another. You're going to go through that. So.
I do think it is partially people see penises as kind of a joke, and they're not wrong. Every guy at some point has just laughed at dicks. But yeah, like I do think that it definitely went over enough, and him being religious, yeah, maybe that's why those 6 got kicked off, or hey, they just never got time at all. And
very true.
It's tough. And
there might not have been physical attraction there too. Like
and your 15 minutes that you did get to see them, or you didn't. Hey, they're not pushing for you, so why keep them on at this point? But every year somebody complains they didn't get time in the first episode, so
exactly.
I mean, it's tough to decide that.
It's a tired trope at this point. But we would be amiss to not mention Abigail, who got our first impression rose this season. Abigail is deaf. She has a cochlear implant helping her be able to hear, but she still does read lips and everything. And their relationship, what we've seen so far, has been really cute. It's been very sweet, very wholesome, and very much like a crush. Like the one thing she said that she was so excited about when she got the rose was like, oh my gosh, he sees potential in me. That's so sweet. Like, it's just simple little things like that. I haven't really seen them connect on anything really deep. So that'll be interesting to watch.
Yeah. And I do think part of that is just we didn't get to see her in the second episode, so maybe that's all we get for right now. But yeah, she is one that is one of my favorites. Like,
I agree.
a lot of them you get to meet in the second episode, and it's like, these are genuinely good people. And I think part of that is because you have your first Black Bachelor, you don't want anything to be problematic. I think they picked Matt, even though he is he is a great person, but I think they picked him because he's a great person that happens to be African American.
I agree. I think that the sad thing is, though, there are a lot of other great men that were throughout the Bachelor franchise. Like, if you look at Mike from Hannah Brown's season, if you look at Eric from Rachel's season, like, both of them, great guys, both Black, and like both made it really far in their season. You got to know a lot about them and everything beforehand. They would have been great leads too. But I think the fact that Matt is from outside the franchise makes it a little bit more interesting because you have to watch to get to know him. You don't actually know him beforehand.
Yeah, and maybe that is partially another reason why I do think a lot of it was they did make the announcement during the height of Black Lives Matter, and it was almost it was seen as performative. And as we get to know Matt, it's kind of like, man, there's nothing wrong with this guy. This guy is just awesome.
Yep.
And it's kind of like, did you pick him because he's Black and he's unproblematic, and you didn't want there to be any negative connotation involved with it, or was it just like, oh, this dude's handsome, he knows Tyler C. We just kind of want to have him on for the sake of, like, he's still kind of near The Bachelor, but not in it.
Exactly. So then I guess we can go ahead and pick up episode 2, which was this past week, which was during the College Football Playoff Championship game. So I didn't watch it live, but
I didn't either.
I would say watching it secondhand was awesome simply because I didn't have to deal with commercials, and it was a solid, like, 40 minutes shorter. So I was very happy about that.
Yeah, I think some of the big stuff that stood out was we did get to see 2 one-on-ones that went really well. And
a group date that was
pretty exciting. Yeah.
You never see 2 one-on-ones the first episode. You always see 1 one-on-one and 2 group dates. So this was, like, super rare that there were 2 one-on-ones the first week. I was really shocked, especially because it's a really big group of girls too. Yeah,
and you're dealing with, at this point, 28 or 26 girls where you're having to pick so many, and some of them, we barely got to see. But, a lot of the girls I think we got to meet and get to know a little bit better, and we did see some were really nice. Like, Bree was a genuinely nice person. I think she definitely kind of was, like, unprepared for the ATV ride.
Yeah, no, she had the first one-on-one. So her and Matt went mudding through the back hills of Pennsylvania. They definitely got a little dirty, and I felt really bad. We were talking before we started recording this. She was wearing, like, white tennis shoes and a cream tank top and jeans. Like, the producers couldn't tell her that you're going to be mudding, so, like, wear something not white. Like, she clearly got the memo about packing a bikini. Like, why couldn't she have been told about not wearing nice clothes? Like,
maybe they
want to wear athletic clothes.
I think they did tell a few, like, hey, you're going to dress like you're going to do something active in like the woods or in nature. So they kind of knew that, but they didn't know the details. And I think you do see that after you see Bree get the one-on-one. A lot of the girls are dressed down, kind
and
of
like
ready to go.
and
Yeah, sweats, sweatshirts, not really formal. Kind of knew that it was going to be outdoors.
yeah.
Getting to see Matt flip it because he's like, I'm going to do donuts, and just like flipped it on its side was really funny. Then after that, for some reason, they had to have Matt take his shirt off for the second time in the episode.
Yeah. We were up to 2 times off in like the first half hour. It was exhilarating.
And I get it. He's a handsome dude. If I looked that good, I'd be taking off my shirt all the time.
Yeah,
but also
he's
like,
not beyond
you're chopping wood. Do you really
though.
need to take it off though? Like that was the moment where I was like, I mean, you're just chopping wood. It isn't like.
It was mobility's purposes. The shirt was too tight.
Just for the sake of mobility.
Too constricting. Yeah. We had to let him breathe, let him move. Like the Greek god he is. Yeah. No, whenever Brie was like, I tried to count his abs, but I didn't want to stare. I was like, girl, I counted. Don't worry. Like definitely way more than 6.
Yeah, and then that went really well. And I think that she's going to be one that does go far. I think a lot of the girls that get these dates early on move on a bit further. And it's just because you get that early connection. And if you're not going that episode, you know that you really connected. He wants to keep you around for a while.
Well, the fact that she also got super personal, I was shocked. Like, they literally have known each other at this point because she got the first one-on-one the day after the rose ceremony. So they've known each other max for like 48 hours. And she started opening up about how her mom had her whenever her mom was 13 years old. That's insane. Just saying. Congratulations to her mom and her grandparents for raising a great girl.
Yeah.
Like, she seems so nice and sweet. But anyway, and then she started talking about how like she felt abandoned during quarantine because her mom's remarrying and she doesn't feel like she has a family or a home. Like, that's stuff that's really personal that I don't know if I could open up to a guy after only knowing him for 2 days.
Yeah, that's like really deep and something that I think that but the thing is, a lot of these girls definitely are coming into this going, I want to marry you. Like, you kind of have to hit that I'm going to get personal really quick because we only have so much time for you to decide this.
Yeah, and like, it's scary to do that, but I think it's definitely going to help you create a connection with Matt, and it's definitely going to help you stay around longer if you're willing to put in that work and willing to be vulnerable right away. It's definitely scary if you don't end up with him and you're sharing your biggest secrets in front of the entire nation.
And they probably do cut out some of the stuff, and these girls definitely get a plethora of DMs if they don't make it on the show. Yeah. Personally, I'm going to say if Jacinda doesn't win, I'm sending her a DM on Instagram. I will confirm it on the show now.
Yes.
And if she does not win, I'm DMing her and trying my hardest to win that woman's heart.
She's gorgeous. You should definitely
she's absolutely beautiful.
You miss 100% of the shots you don't take, Gibb. So I fully support you.
But yeah, after that one-on-one date, that was really nice. We did get to see a bit of the tension back in. It's not the house because they aren't in Pennsylvania.
The
cabin? Whatever you want to call it. Where Victoria's being kind of like, I didn't get time with him. No, and it's like neither did the other 27. Calm down.
Yeah, she's like, I didn't join this to be a part of a sorority. I didn't come here to make friends. And it's like, you know that you're only going to hang out with him like in a week span, maybe for one full day if you're on a one-on-one date. Like, other than that, you're going to get like 15 minutes at a cocktail party. You're going to get maybe 20 minutes on a group date cocktail party, and then like maybe 5 to 10 minutes in the group date. Like, you're not going to be hanging out with Matt 24/7. You have to get along with the girls. Like, I'm not saying it has to be a sorority. Like, you don't have to be like Delta, whatever, Epsilon, Sigma, Theta. Like, you don't have to be chanting and cheering and skipping around. But at least a level together.
Of some sort of friendliness with each other.
Yeah, like, you have to respect each other to some extent. And it was very clear that like she didn't respect anyone else there. She was mad that Brie got the date. Then she was mad that the other girls weren't mad about it. It's like,
and then Marilyn's like, hey, stop being a bitch. And then Victoria's like, I'm going to sleep on the couch now. Like, you won the argument by sleeping on the couch.
On the couch, yeah. And Marilyn literally didn't even say anything mean. We'll get to that later.
She just pointed out facts. she straight up just was like, hey, we're all here for that exact same reason. Just don't be a bitch.
But I just got
Alana was the one that I think she did her little interview where they go off to the side. And she's like, Victoria's crazy. I hope everyone else knows that. And I'm like, she is my sleeper pick because she's just calling everyone on this bullshit.
Oh, okay. My sleeper pick, well, she's not really in my top 4. She's in my top 6, though. From that moment is Chelsea, because she was the respectful queen who tried to get everybody to get along. And she said, listen, we don't need to be generalizing our statements. If there's an issue, say it with the person you have an issue with. Otherwise, respect each other's opinions. And I was like, yes, like, thank God.
Yeah, Alana isn't one of my top 5, but yeah, she's one that I was like, yeah, call her on her bullshit. That's going to pay off later.
Oh, 100%.
And then we got the group date.
The biggest group date in Bachelor history. 18 girls at once, which is like
and they got to
really
have the
intimidating.
nice wedding pictures.
Yes, with Franca, who apparently is a Bachelor alum and like really famous, but I didn't remember him. He's no Neil Lane. So
yeah, that's one that I'm kind of wondering, because he did come off as very flamboyant, and with the quail little
the
cover,
fur was gorgeous. Gorgeous.
I thought it was feathers. It was fur and feathers.
Yeah, I was nervous for him when they started flinging paint around everywhere. I was like, oh my God, if that's real, it's going to get ruined. But
yeah, and that is one of those moments where it's like you got to see a lot of these girls are really beautiful. Like that was the moment where I was like, Jasenia, 100% send her a DM. I will buy you whatever wedding dress.
I will give you the biggest ring.
Yeah. And then we get to see Piper's called up to go, and Victoria just cuts in. She's like, it's the queen's time. It's like,
it's
you
the royal
really just want to
wedding.
piss off yeah. And then Matt sees that. It's not like it's just like between the girls. Matt sees that and he's probably like, this bitch thinks she's a queen for real.
No, she's like, I need a kiss. And he leans in like this. Like he doesn't touch her.
Okay.
Like his mouth goes forward and the rest of his body does not touch her. Like if you look at the photos the wedding photos that they took, he doesn't, like, his arm is not on her. His hand is not touching her anywhere. It's literally just like
there's
him
no
leaning
hug or
forward.
embracing it. It's just like, please stay away from me.
So awkward. It was so awkward. And then she's like, my garter, look at my leg. Ooh. And it's like, no, that's not sexy. Like, take off a garter's awkward.
The garter, yeah, at weddings, I guess, are a thing still, which is weird. I really hope my future wife does not want me to do that in front of my entire family.
Like the reason why that was a thing was
upper thigh.
Yeah, it was a symbolism of him being able to take her virginity. That was like the reason.
Oh no way, Victoria's a virgin. No way. $100 she is not.
No, there's not. But that's what the garter means. Like that's the point of having it.
That's the symbol behind it.
Yeah, and it's like, no. Yeah, so I didn't like her. But I did think there were a bunch of cute photos, and I thought the girls did a good job of dressing up with, a limited amount of time.
15 minutes to get ready.
Yeah, but there were only, 6 or 7 photos taken. Only half the girls got to take a photo. So
yeah,
that was a little bit of a bummer.
And then they go into, Bachelor paint fight, which was great.
With Chris Harrison, which was amazing.
Yeah.
I love every cameo with Chris.
Yeah, some of those girls are actually getting hit. Some of them looked kind of light, hitting them with the cake or anything like that. But then MJ just took a purse to the face, full speed swung into the face. And I'm like,
very
that is a winner right
there. Khloe Kardashian back in the day, stop being so rude with a purse. That's what I got. Channeled some Kardashian right in there.
Yeah, and then they announced Mari was the MVP, the most valuable bride. And I was like, no, that goes to MJ. Not only did she win it for the gold team, but she also... Casey, come on. Casey, come on.
Sorry, I got distracted. I just saw a puppy running around.
Casey, come on. All right. But yeah, I was like, MJ took one to the face and also won the game. She deserves that MVP. We don't give that. We don't give the most valuable player to some guy that was on a 1-16 team. What are you talking about?
Exactly. No, the thing that I took from that was the most valuable bride and the bride that won it all. They both got down and dirty. They both got serious, and they actually pulled their hair up. Half the brides did not. because they were just like wearing their hair down and wanted it to be cute, or like wore it in like 2 pigtails down here, and it's like, who are you, the Pippi Longstocking? Like, why do you need to make yourself look cute? This is a game.
They're like, this is my moment to look cute, and it's like, nah, if you win, you get to look cute.
Exactly.
And Victoria, I all my comments are just going through mine. Victoria, after that, I was like, man, she is fake as shit, and also not that attractive.
Yep.
Like, and I've said that all of these girls are very attractive, and I'm just like, no, she's not.
Like, not to be mean, I know I'm not a queen at makeup. If you can't tell, look at me. I'm not a makeup queen, but like, she had the worst bags under her eyes and then just tried to cake them with concealer, which just made them stand out more, because you need a color corrector and then concealer. Like, I know that, and I'm not anywhere near a makeup guru.
I don't know what any of this means.
Well, there's color correctors. Color correctors can even out your skin tone. Like, if you have a blemish and you have a pimple that's red, you want to correct it with green. You put green over it before you put the foundation.
That makes sense. It's like how you dye your hair. If you're going to dye it something and you want to get out the yellow, you put purple shampoo on it.
Exactly.
If you're going to get out the orange, put blue shampoo on it.
Right. So like that's part of.
Okay, I get that part. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that's makeup 101, which is very simple. You think, if she got along with some of the girls, they would tell her that. Oh, light change.
Yeah.
But like, you think if she got along with some of the girls, like a girl would be like, hey, why don't I help you with that? Or something like that. Or the fact that in everything we saw her in, her bra was hanging out, and it was a black bra. And it's like, I understand if you're not comfortable wearing a strapless bra or going without one, that's fine. I'm the same way. I like to wear a bra. But like, I also don't want my bra to be like this the entire time hanging out, or like the entire back of it out. Like, get a little classy.
Yeah, you got to kind of plan it a little bit.
Yeah. But
yeah, and then we got to see the cocktail party, and Victoria be problematic again. Lauren with the please go away, Victoria. I'm going to take the rose in this group date.
My biggest takeaway from that group date was everybody was crying. Like, when the team that lost didn't get to keep playing.
Yeah, that was
odd. 3 of them cried, and I was like, is it because they're sleep deprived? Like, have they not had time to sleep and rest?
It has to be.
Yeah.
Because, like, this is very early on, and I get you want to make a connection, but, like, you're 2 weeks into, maybe 2 or 3 days into knowing somebody. I don't think I would ever cry about not getting enough time with them.
Like,
but obviously it is a competition and you want to win, so the more time, the better.
Right. But you're right. Lauren came in. She was a sleeper pick. She didn't even get to talk to Matt at the cocktail party night 1, but she gets the group date rose because she was very honest and real, and they had a very adult conversation, like a conversation that you'd have if you're trying to really date someone in the real world. Like, these are my values. These are the things I want in a relationship, and these are the things I need in a relationship. Like, those are all like conversations that you need to be having if you're dating anyone anyway. And it was a very nice and respectful conversation.
Yeah, and that was one thing I took. Like, I was like, the people that are getting to have this cocktail date were very genuine, and like, they had some quality conversation with Matt outside of Victoria, who was very much like, I'm being bullied because I'm kind of a bitch. Oh no! And then like,
this thing.
Hitting me because I'm a bitch and everyone wants to call me on it. Yeah, like, I'm not going to feel bad.
Yep. Oh, 100%.
Yeah, and then we get to see the other one-on-one date with
Sarah, who was one of my picks from night 1, too.
She is such a good person. And I'm oh no, I don't want to see her go, but I don't want to see any of these other girls go. Can she just be Mormon and marry all of them except for Victoria?
Sister Wives, part 17, the spinoff, Bachelor edition. But no, I liked Sarah night 1, and the fact that, like, I remember in his confessional night 1, he said Sarah and I's conversation was really whatever, and the fact that he remembered her name to say it in a confessional made me think he had sparks right away.
Yeah. And then we did see him give her the orchid at the end of the date, and I'm like, that is a little detailed that.
No, he didn't give her the orchid. He gave Marilyn the orchid.
Marilyn, okay. But still, that is something that, like, you've known these people for, at this point, we're now at, like, 4 days of knowing them.
Yeah,
I don't think I could do it. I would just, every girl's getting an orchid until I get one right.
Well, he did that because, like, she didn't get to go on the group date or a one-on-one date, and he didn't want her to feel left out. Like, tears, like actual tears. That's so sweet. No one ever, like, what guy thinks of that? None.
Yeah.
But back to
And
Sarah's
that's
date.
something that's tough. And that's definitely a scenario where it could be different because you're having somebody stand out that much you remember their favorite flower and maybe a 15-20 minute conversation.
Yep.
And you're also meeting 31 other people. I would struggle with it just with memory issues I have. But like I definitely would struggle to remember anything beyond names. And that's just because you're meeting such a quantity of people.
Oh, 100%. I'm much more of a face person than a name person. So I'd be like trying to just struggle to remember names, let alone intimate details about all of them.
Yeah.
But let's go back to Sarah's date because her and Matt had a really cute flying a plane date and they were just cruising around. And the one thing that I realized that I very much am excited for this season is all of the winter and fall fashion from the girls because the girls never get seasons in the winter and fall. Like it's always the Bachelorette filmed in the winter and fall. So it's all the boys with the same jacket over and over and over
And
again.
we did see the Bachelorette in the summer with a lot of the guys wearing shorts and stuff like that. Yeah, they did suit up, but
Right.
for the most part,
So,
we saw them in their free time were just rocking swimming trunks, and that was it.
right. So I think it'll just be interesting. I know that's a sidebar, but I think it'll be interesting to
No,
watch the fashion this year because, like, I loved Sarah's jacket night one, like for her one-on-one date, and I was just like instantly like, okay, she's one to watch. She knows what to wear. She's gorgeous. She's smart, and they have a real connection. She's one to watch.
yeah, and that was one that I didn't think about it, but I was just like, oh yeah, like I definitely could do fall as a guy. I'm like, yeah, fall would be more my speed.
Yeah. Well, and I thought,
I couldn't make it on The Bachelor just because of the mass amount of tattoos I have on my legs.
hey, listen, Kenny was on The Bachelorette, and he had tattoos. You can be
Yeah, I
on
was
The
wondering about
Bachelor.
that. I figured you'd know way more than I do, but I don't know. We haven't seen a whole lot of Bachelor, Bachelorette contestants with tattoos. The one
Just
they
in the
did have,
American version, if you watch
yeah.
Bachelor or Bachelorette Australia, people show up tatted, like neck to toes tatted.
Oh,
So it's very much just the American version.
yeah. I do think she was one of the first ones off. She did have a bunch on her arms, and I was like, oh yeah, she seems cool. She has tattoos, and then I'm like, oh, she's already gone.
Yeah. So
And
I
since we
think,
barely got to see her, I can't even remember her name. I'm trying to go through a list and see if I could recognize her.
oh,
Um,
I can't tell you. I don't remember.
yeah,
All I can think of is
I
Amber.
even
I don't know if she had
Carolyn.
tattoos.
I think
Oh,
it's
Carolyn.
Carolyn because you could see it in the picture. She has like a big one on her left arm.
Arm. Yeah. But when it comes to back to Sarah's date, she felt very much like a normal person to me. Like she had a hard time opening up during their like sitting and talking before light change again.
Oh, romancy.
But she had a very hard time like opening up and talking about her family before she like they had their sit down dinner where they don't actually eat any food portion of their
Like they
date.
don't actually eat anything.
No. They eat
Oh
while
my
they're
gosh.
changing between because they don't want to film them while eating because it's not like attractive. So
Oh, I
like
don't
all
care.
of
I'll
the
eat anyway.
food
You
that sits
can't
on the
stop me.
table there in the on their one-on-one dates, they don't actually eat it.
Is it prop food or is it just like they don't get to eat it?
They just don't get to eat it
Oh, that's
until
horrible.
they're done filming it. Like they
That's
are literally
horrible.
given like chicken nuggets and stuff to eat while they're like filming their confessionals or like while they're getting dressed and ready to go on the
Or while
dinner
you're off
portion of their date.
camera.
Yeah. They do
Oh,
it
I
that
would
way
not make
because
it.
eating
I wouldn't
isn't
make it on either.
attractive.
I don't care. I want them to know I'm willing to eat. I want them to know I'm a human being and I
I
eat.
want my date to be eating a bucket of wings so they can see how pretty I am while I eat
I will
wings.
wipe them up if they're willing to eat wings on camera on national TV whenever it's deemed unattractive.
Yeah.
And she's
But
like, "Give me the chicken wings."
oh, yeah, buffalo sauce only, please. And no boneless, only traditional.
Bone in, yeah. Boneless, you can make meat. Bone in, you're gonna have a mess, and
Heck
that
yeah.
shows true class.
Listen, okay, we should pitch this to the producers. Wing eating contest. Whoever
Oh,
can eat the most
absolutely.
wings the fastest, or bring in Joey Chestnut, have a hot dog eating contest.
Oh my. Ugh.
I think that would be a fabulous date. It would be so funny to watch all these girls try and eat hot dogs.
I think some of these women have never even like eaten a hot dog before in their life. Some of them, like,
Probably.
yeah, they've definitely been to baseball games and had a couple. But like some of these girls, I'm like, I bet they've never put anything bad into their body.
Yeah, like
And they're like, oh yeah, like only soy dogs. And I'm like, no, just eat a hot dog. It's worth it.
I agree.
Don't worry, you won't regret the decision.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, they're not exactly the healthiest, but they're still
Who
yummy, so
cares?
I don't
Joey
care.
Chestnut can eat one every 10 seconds for 10 minutes straight. I really think anyone could somewhat be near that.
Yeah, someone can definitely eat one in 10 minutes, it's fine.
Yeah,
But
I would bet that the girl that wins would have like 7 or 8 down in the 10 minutes or whatever, because none
yeah,
of them would appear like unladylike doing like the dunk the hot dog in the bun of water and just like
or like eating
eat it
3 hot dogs
whole.
at one time and then just like squishing up a
I
bun.
mean, who knows? Maybe the guys is like that is pretty hot. Who
Shoot,
knows?
I would do it, but I also will probably never be on The Bachelor. I would
Too
go
bad I
all in.
signed you up.
Oh, you signed me up? Okay, cool. I'll sign you up
Yep.
then. We'll just go back
Oh,
and
don't
forth
do
until one
that.
of us gets on.
Don't do that. Yeah, and then we got that final kind of cocktail party before the rose ceremony.
Yeah, which
Victoria being a
all of
grade
the
A snitch,
drama went
witch, bitch,
down.
whichever rhyme you want to go with. Just
Mean
like
girl.
she was mean, and then like every girl's like, "What are you talking about? That didn't happen."
Yeah. So
And
to
then
set the
he goes
scene for
after
people who don't
Marilyn. Yeah,
know, Victoria goes up to Matt and says, I'm sorry we didn't have a great conversation on the group date. I've been in my head a lot because I've been bullied. I was roommates with Marilyn and then she was bullying me. Oh gosh, Gibb entered the
yeah. This
dark
is how.
side.
Yeah, Victoria is definitely giving off like evil, mean vibes.
But she's like, she was bullying me and she's toxic. She cries for attention. She's toxic. I swear, I wrote in my notes, she thinks toxic's a trigger word, so it's the only word she's using to describe her. But like,
Yeah, that's definitely possible. And then she goes and is like, Marilyn, give me an apology. And then she's like, all right, I'll apologize. And then she's like, not good enough.
yeah,
No,
like
I don't.
Maryland,
I want an apology, but I'm not going to accept your apology because I'm just a raging bitch.
yeah, Marilyn literally said, I'm sorry if I made you feel bad. That was not my intention. And Victoria goes, why are you apologizing for something if you said you didn't do it? And she's like, I didn't mean to say it in a way that it would hurt your feelings. So I'm apologizing for hurting your feelings. That was not my intention. And she's like, that's not right. You can't apologize like that. I don't accept it. Goodbye. Like,
Yeah. And it's kind of like one of those ones where it's like, you came over, tried asking for the apology, got the apology you wanted, and then are just going to turn it down.
yeah. Oh, and it was crazy when she was like walking around the whole time. She's like, yeah, I told Matt about how mean Marilyn is and how much of a bully she is. And then like all of the girls were like,
Yeah, I was like
no.
MJ and 2 other ones that I don't remember. I just remember saying MJ. They're like,
Maggie was
what are
one
you
of them
talking? Yeah, they're
too.
like, what are you talking about? And it's like,
Yep, Katie
fair
was
point.
another one. Yeah, they were all like, no, like Marilyn's never said anything bad to me. Like Maggie literally said, I'd never seen Marilyn attack anyone, but I wasn't there. So I don't know
Yeah,
what happened. So like she was standing up for it. And I just thought it was really one, it's kind of shady on the producer's part. If there was someone else who was like, yeah, you're right, Victoria, you should tell him, because they never showed that if that's true. So
yeah,
that's
and I
slightly
don't
shady on the producer's part that they like did only showed
possible,
people
but
who
it does
thought
seem
Victoria
like
was crazy.
Victoria is not making. Yeah, it doesn't seem like any of these girls want to be associated with her.
Yeah.
She's like the Regina George, where it's like she might have 1 or 2 that are on her side, but everyone's like, she's still a bitch.
Yeah, a crazy bitch. So
Yeah, and then we got
that's
the
basically
rose
what the
ceremony
whole cocktail party
cliffhanger.
was drama.
Yeah,
But yeah, I
and then we
wrote
got to
down
see some of the
everybody who
roses
got a
given out.
rose. So Bree, Lauren, and Sarah all got
Yeah,
roses from the dates. And then my girl Piper, who's
yeah,
gorgeous, she got a date. Kit,
absolutely. She's one of my top 5.
Kit, who was surprisingly not annoying this episode, but she also
Yeah,
was
she did redeem
was
herself a
not really
little.
on the episode either, so that might correlate somehow.
Yeah,
She got a rose. Maggie, who I think is gorgeous. She's the girl from Ethiopia. She
she is
has
the
such pretty
doctor.
hair. Yes, the doctor. Thank you, Gibb. We must emphasize that. The doctor has a
Yeah,
doctorate. That's impressive. And then Rachel, who She got a lot of screen time this episode. I think that she got a lot of very neutral screen time. So I think she's one that the producers are favoring. I don't know if it's for Paradise
Oh shit!
purposes.
Wrong one.
Oh, is that the halo?
No, I was trying to get the purple light, so it kind of because one of these lights actually kind of looks romantic.
Oh, okay. You figure out your lights, and I'll keep
That
going.
one. There we go.
Okay.
There we go.
But I think that the producers like her. I don't know if it's because she makes it far in the season. I think she's definitely my top right now. But yeah, the producers definitely cut to her a lot this episode. And then after Rachel, homegirl Abigail, who we also love,
Yeah.
she got a rose. And yeah, I think literally everyone in America loves Abigail. I haven't heard one.
Oh, absolutely. It's tough to hate on a deaf girl.
Well, she's more than that, though. She's so sweet and
she's
kind.
also again, amazing person, like many of the girls on this season. But it's one of those ones where it's kind of like you'd feel a little bit worse if you're like, I don't like the deaf girl. What? Because she's deaf? Because she's not done anything else wrong.
Well, it's like Abigail was the one that went up to Marilyn when she was crying, and Marilyn was like, I want to go home. I can't deal with this drama. Abigail was the one hugging her and talking to her about it. So it just shows that she's a good person too, which I love. And then after Abigail, we got Chelsea, who our model, our short-haired queen, our tall Amazon beauty, who was my vote for respectful and queen this episode because she was trying to keep the peace the whole time. So I loved her.
Yeah.
And then Gibb's future girlfriend.
My future wife, Jasenia Gibb.
I'm sorry, your future wife. Let me clarify. Jasenia, she got one. I think she's very, very pretty, but I don't know anything about her, though. That's the thing.
I think we'll get to see more of her in the next couple episodes. Because I do think they are showing, like, the one-on-ones, you get to know somebody really well. The group dates are super uninformative this season.
Yeah.
Or at least you can kind of get something in past seasons from these group dates. This season is very much like group dates are basically just going to be kind of fan appeal, and you're not going to see anything else. Because
it might be because though that there were so many people on this group date that
they
couldn't really get to know people. But
I mean, Pilot Pete's group date whenever he was in Cleveland, he got to go to First Energy Stadium. They played the two-hand tap football.
Yep.
And one of the girls was like, my back hurts. Please just give me a back rub. And I'm like, okay, so she is going to be hated by everybody for doing that, but it's a smart move.
Yep.
Obviously, Pete ended up with like none of them at the end of the show, but was dating one girl he kicked off like the final 6, I think.
They broke up.
They were, oh my gosh. Yeah, that man is just not going to find love, I guess.
He got engaged to Hannah Ann, broke up with Hannah Ann between airing the show, or between filming and airing the show. So then he got back together with Maddie for a solid like 3 weeks. And then after the final rose aired, they broke up the next day. Then after that, he started dating Kelly, who was the girl he met before filming even started.
Okay.
And they were together for, I don't know, 5-6 months. And then they broke up on like, he posted a breakup post on like New Year's Eve, 4 days after he was like commenting on her Christmas photos. And he was like, you're the best gift I got this year. Like, can't wait to unwrap you, like stuff like that. Then he posted a breakup post the next like 2 days. So Peter is single in 2021. Are we shocked? No.
Not a bit.
But yeah, just to keep you up on the Bachelor world drama.
All right.
A lot of couples have broken up during quarantine.
It used to at least be, from what I've watched in the past couple of years, you could kind of find a way to still win the group date and have quality time with the person.
Yeah.
But this week, with week 2, you definitely did not have the opportunity. I think they very much were outside of the picture with Matt and helping him pick out the wedding dress. They were not getting to talk to Matt a whole lot. Even if you were in the cocktail party for the winners, you still didn't get a whole lot of time.
I agree.
And I guess the final cherry on top of this was they end on the cliffhanger with the rose ceremony still going on.
Well,
and
we still
Sarah
have a couple
having an
more
anxiety attack.
We have a couple more people who got roses, though.
There were?
Our girl Katie.
Okay.
Nope, our girl Katie, our hilarious vibrator friend Katie.
Vibrator lady.
Yep. I think she's just purely going to be comedic relief this season, so I'm rooting for her.
Possibly, yeah.
And then Serena C, the girl who wore the Asian girl who wore the white button like suit jacket dress with the like thigh high super sparkly boots. Loved her outfit. She 10 for 10 was my favorite outfit cocktail party that night. But Those were the last ones. And then
Yeah, and
Sarah
then
passed
Sarah has
out.
her anxiety. It had to have been an anxiety or panic attack, the way it seemed.
Maybe
As somebody
dehydrated.
that has
I don't
had them
know.
before, you kind of feel dizzy. You need to sit
Mhm.
down, and then all of a sudden your vision goes black.
Yep.
And
So
it is something that you it's just like get water, try and because your body is just like sweating any water you have out,
yep.
and the stress ends up making you lose your vision. Drinking water and finding some way to relax ends up helping it. But yeah, I think they definitely picked a good time to end the episode because it's a lot of tension up to it. She'll be fine. It's nothing
Right.
serious medically. At least I hope. And on the rose ceremony next episode, we'll see Victoria ends up getting a rose, even though she doesn't deserve one.
Yep. I was going to say Victoria and MJ were both in the preview a lot for next week. So it's clear that they both got a rose, which is annoying, but whatever.
Right.
But I do have to point out, whenever Sarah did step down and almost pass out, the fact that the Bachelor producers whipped that camera off the tripod and did the handheld run after scene, I was like, paparazzi video. This is so intense.
They were fully this will add so much drama. Grab the camera, go.
Yeah, I loved that. It was this is behind the scenes. This is secret. So I really enjoyed that. But I do have a couple random thoughts though for this episode. Screen time so far, like I said, Rachel has gotten so much screen time. We haven't learned a single thing about her. At least I haven't learned a single thing about the girl.
Yeah, you're not wrong. There are a couple girls where I'm like, I know your face, and I probably could recognize your name if I went to the website and saw it.
Same with MJ though. I don't know
MJ,
a single thing about her, but we get a lot of confessionals. We get a lot of cuts to her. They're not really involved in the drama. So who was the other one that I said? Rachel and then MJ. Those were the two biggest ones, I think, from this episode that I was like, producers either really, really like them or they're really important in the season later on. So.
Yeah, and it could be either or. We really never know because the producers do seem to be a lot more involved in some of the drama that builds up.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Throughout the show. Prime example being last season with Kelsey, or last season of The Bachelor, where Kelsey brings her champagne from Iowa and cries because Hannah Ann
opened it because producers told her your champagne's over in that direction, and they had two champagnes right there.
So. Yeah, so they kind of set her up, and then eventually she gets it and takes a big old swig and gets a money shot full of foam.
Yeah. Ooh, that one hurt.
Yeah, so I would like to know your top five.
Yes, I was going to say top five. I want you to go first, and then I want you to break down who you think is going to be the winner, and then your top five.
All right. So who I think is going to be the winner, I'm going to have to pull up the picture because I don't think any of my top five will win it.
Oh, really? Okay.
Abigail is definitely going to be top three. I think she's everyone's top three, but I don't know if she wins it.
Okay.
I don't know what it is about her, but I even with a spark, I think that there's going to be something that happens that leads to her not winning it. Mm-hmm. I think that somebody like Mary wins it. Mary or Sarah, I think, are probably going to be two that I think win. I think Sarah ends up winning it.
Okay.
That's who I think wins it, but my top five are, I don't know if I can, I guess I'll say number 5, Abigail.
Okay.
Very sweet, amazing person. Number 4, MJ. Again, I think she's very cute. She is from around here, so I'm like, my odds might be good.
She went to Ohio State, so gotta love that.
I know she's a Buckeyes fan.
Yep.
Number 3, Kaylee. Bold move going with the lingerie, but I think it's going to pay off, and she'll end up very high in the show.
Plus, she's gorgeous. Love
absolutely.
her. Yeah.
Looks amazing. Number 2, Piper.
Absolutely gorgeous again.
I really hope we get to learn more about her as the show goes on. Yep. And my number 1 should be no surprise, Jasenia. Absolute number 1. Again, on record, if she doesn't win, I will send DMs, and they will be on the show whenever I send them.
Yes, we need screenshots. We need proof. We need receipts is the word.
You guys need receipts that I did it, and I will pull through with them.
There we go. Well, I don't really have a top 5. I have more of a top 6. And then I have who I think is I have a top 6, and then I have a top 4. So my top 6, Chelsea and MJ, I think are 5 and 6. I think they're both really pretty. I think they're both very strong, and they both had a lot of TV time. It's not necessarily that I like them the best, but this is how I think the last 6 people of the show are going to be. So Chelsea and MJ are going to be 5 and 6. And
All
then
right.
people who do hometowns, I'm going to go with Bree, Abigail, Sarah, and Rachel. And the
Okay.
only reason I throw Rachel in there is because of the producers so far. They've been editing her in there like crazy. Just here's Rachel's face. Here's Rachel's face. Here's Rachel not involved in the drama. Oh, there's Rachel back there. Rachel, what do you think about this? Like, it's nothing
Yeah.
to do with getting to know her, but we just keep seeing her pop up here and there, here and there, here and there. So, and then my reason why I like Bree so much is because she was the very first person out of the limo, which is always a big deal. Like if you look at Tayshia's season, who was the first guy out of the limo to meet Claire? Ben. Guess who was in the top 2 for Tayshia? Ben. Like, you know that they're important people that way. So plus, you know, she had the first one-on-one and Sarah had the first one-on-one. So I think that you like create a really big bond with your first one-on-ones. Like if you
Yeah.
look back at a lot of the bachelorettes, the person that they had their first one-on-one with generally makes it to hometown. So that's why
Yeah.
I think Bree and Sarah are in there. And then Abigail gets a first impression rose, so she has to be in there.
Yeah.
But right now, I'm going to go with my winners, Bree. Sarah is my close second, though.
All right.
Granted, I haven't learned enough about them. There are plenty of girls that I like, but I just don't think that they're going to win. Like, I love Piper. I think she's gorgeous, and I love Maggie. I think that she's so smart, and I would love to hear her talk more about, like, Ethiopia and her transition to the United States and, like, have that kind of conversation. But I just don't see it long run, which is a bummer.
Yeah, mine was based mostly off of looks, and I'm like, oh yeah, they're the most attractive. They're who I'm gonna have win it.
Oh, yeah, no, I
At
like...
the end of the day, looks matter.
Oh, they do, 100%.
Yeah.
Like, I like to go with who I think is going to win because then I can be like, look at back. I had it right the whole time. Like, that's what I like to do that way. It's not necessarily who I like, but yeah. So your pick to win is Sarah. My pick to win is Bree.
Yeah.
Let's see.
I mean, we're not too far off. So I think, well, you also said Sarah was your number 2. So
yeah, she's like my close second right now. But again, this is only after week 2, so we can.
yeah, there's still how
100
many
times.
girls left at this point?
Yep. We don't know who's going home this week. You never know. Like, who hasn't gotten a rose yet? Piper may go home this week. No, she has a rose. Kidding. Who doesn't have a rose? Marilyn?
Maryland does not have a rose yet. I don't believe Mary has one yet.
Kaylee doesn't have one. Isn't that her name? Kaylin. The one who wore the lingerie.
Kaylee.
Kaylee,
I don't
she
think
doesn't
Kaylee
have
has one yet. Alana doesn't have one yet.
Miss Botox herself. I swear, watch her next episode. If her eyebrows move anywhere beyond right here, let me know because I don't think they moved at all beyond this arch right here, this episode. So
all right, I'll have to check then next
Queen
Tuesday.
of Botox. Not that Botox is bad. If it makes you feel better about yourself, get it done. But like she's 24, she doesn't need Botox.
Yeah, I'm trying to think who else did Serena P get one yet?
No, Serena C got one, not Serena P.
Okay, and we haven't seen Victoria get hers yet.
Yep, but we know she gets hers.
Yeah.
Same with MJ. She was in the previews. But the biggest thing about the previews that we have to talk about is the fact that they bring in more girls. Did you see that?
I did not. Like I couldn't really tell because again we're dealing with 32, so I was like, I don't know.
They did a whole nother limo entrance.
Okay, like I was like, are they just bringing back ones already, or are they new ones?
They're new. There's
really
at least
confusing.
Yeah, there's at least 5 new girls, plus Heather's back, and Heather was on Colton's season of The Bachelor. She's really good friends with Hannah Brown. Her story arc on Colton's season was she's never been in love and she's never been kissed. So that was her big arc. Yep. So as you can tell from the previews, there's already a lot of drama with a bunch of the girls saying, you had your shot, now you go home. Like, you've tried with The Bachelor and it didn't work. So there's going to be some drama there for sure.
Claws coming out, yeah.
But I'm excited because, like, when it comes to Claire and Tayshia's season, it was episode 3 or 4 when Tayshia took over, and that's when they brought more guys in. And you know that they had to have them sitting there in reserve the whole time because they had to get COVID tested and they had to quarantine for 2 weeks. So they were just
Yeah.
hanging out at La Quinta. So same with these girls. These girls were just hanging out in Pennsylvania, waiting for their shot. So if they're going to start doing this, it's definitely going to create way more drama every single year. I know a lot of other Bachelor franchises do it. Like Australia, they'll bring in one person every year, like halfway through the season. But I don't know about any other franchise.
I feel weird, like halfway through you know everyone else so well, and you just now get to meet this person. So it's kind of like you're definitely at a disadvantage. And I know personally, I'd be like, yeah, she's gonna be the first one gone. Sure, I can get to know her, but I know everyone else way better, and I already have a pre-established relationship. You kind of just brought her in.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to watch that part. I don't know how far any of them are gonna get, but like, look at Tayshia. She gave Spencer the first impression rose, and then he was like sent home really early. Most of the time, first impression roses with girls stay for a long time, and he was sent home way early. So you never know. Like, these girls can make a great first impression, and then it turned out terrible.
And then just choke. They're the Golden State Warriors. They get that huge lead early on, and then just choke.
Cavs in 4, 2016. Great year. Sorry, we always bring it back to sports, given I always have to talk sports.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
But that's pretty much it that we have for this week. So I'm gonna try and hop in every 2 weeks, just give everybody a recap. I know sometimes it's hard to sit and watch 2 hours of The Bachelor every week. So if you ever just want to be caught up, feel free to hop on our channel and you'll see Gibb's face again. Obviously, we have to check in with him at the end whenever he talks to his future wife. So yeah, feel free to like, subscribe, comment, and we'll see you next week.